think this would be the thing that came up over the last week was Donald Trump, President of the United States, Donald Trump, came to the media and I guess expressed his defense of Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame. He says that, makes a big deal out of it. Donald Trump goes, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, the whole thing. And the funny part is, even after his, unfortunately, his death a couple months back, Rob Manfred, apparently it's reported now, that Pete Rose, he'll listen, quote, listen to a petition to reinstate Pete Rose and therefore get him into or make him Hall of Fame eligible, which he would get in with flying colors if he was Hall of Fame eligible. This is the exact problem. When Pete Rose passed away,
I thought this would happen, Colin.
This is the exact problem that I wish would not come about. Pete Rose is a polarizing figure. He's a polarizing player. He's a polarizing personality. And now all of a sudden you're going to try to get him Hall of Fame eligible because whether it was the president saying that or now Manfred changing tune posthumously after his death, I think that is as phony and as soft as it possibly gets.
Probably is, but if it gets him into the Hall of Fame, I'm okay with it. I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
But
I do. And Colin, I hear you. Trust me, it's wrong.
He wanted to be in more than anybody.
I'm not.
That was Pete wanting to get in, and you're not even honoring that because you didn't do it during his lifetime.
I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with you, but I think he belongs in. If this is what it takes, if it takes a president of the United States to turn the tide,
that's the reason
for sure. But no, I understand. But if it takes these crazy measures to get Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, I'm all for it. I never got to watch Pete Rose. Obviously, I never got to watch the Big Red Machine. But certainly, if I had a time machine to go back and watch a player, it would be Pete. With the way he played the game, with the fieriness that my grandfather used to tell me, it was a pleasure to watch the guy. And the hit leader, you know, I know that he gambled. I know that he was wrong, and all the MLB ever wanted, Colin, was an apology, and he never did it because he was so damn prideful and so damn stubborn. But to read what I read on ESPN.com today saying that I'll get in when I die, it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart on so many levels. Number one, on the Pete Rose level, never apologizing and admitting it. And number two, the fact that baseball can never reach out to him when he was alive, or rather not reach out to him, or rather figure something out when he was alive. Because I know they tried.
What point does this prove to anybody? Really? The only person you were that was really trying to prove it and really trying to get his name enshrined in the Hall is Pete Rose. Pete was the one. Pete was his biggest advocate. Pete wanted Pete in more than anything. He understood that he was wrong, and the whole thing with that, like Mike alluded to. But Pete was the one who really wanted to get, because he was a baseball player through and through. And now all of a sudden, after he dies, you're going to consider it. And whether they do or not, I guess remains to be considered. And I guess you're right. If their opportunity is there, you got to get Pete into the Hall of Fame because he deserves it. But my point is, you're not proving anything to anybody.
Yep.
You're not making any sort of change. This is not I wouldn't call this a positive news cycle story if that were to happen. I wouldn't call that a positive news cycle story if Pete Rose were to get in posthumously. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. If we open up the door for Pete, is this going to open up the door for the steroid era?
No.
Is this going to open up the door for...
It's a different thing.
Why? Why, though?
Why is it? Because he gambled. He never cheated on the field. That was why.
You got to be a hell of an athlete to hit a 90. You know, I understand steroids are.
There's your answer. That's it. He didn't cheat on the field. He cheated off the field.
You know my opinion with Barry Bonds, and he's one of my favorite ball players ever. The fact that Bonds isn't in is an absolute mockery of the game.
I disagree.
But I wish that could have opened up the gates for guys from that steroid era who I think belong in.
Pete's not in for different reasons then.
I understand, but if we're going to look past this, are we going to be able to look past his steroid era?
But they're eligible. They're just not getting voted in. They're eligible. But they're not ineligible for the Hall of Fame.
You don't think that it's going to maybe run a course of, all right.
A lot of these guys who didn't get in on their ballots now can no longer get in.
You don't think Bonds belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I think the standard set, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. If you don't want to, if you were so good, then don't take steroids. If you were so great, if you're the best player of all time, don't take steroids. I understand everybody did it. And I understand it was good in a weird way. It was kind of good for invigorating baseball. But if in terms of comparison, baseball is the longest running sport of true history. If for the sake of comparison, for the sake of being enshrined in the most competitive Hall of Fame, if you're trying to set a standard like that, I have no problem with it.
I'll tongue-in-cheek say,
the
Bonds technically never got caught, right? Technically never got caught?
He juiced. Everybody knows he juiced. And there's certain guys that are in that probably shouldn't be in because it was all but a confirmation that they were juicing as well. But if you were such a big player in a big spot and you were so good, don't take steroids. If he was such a Hall of Fame player, don't take him. And he was great before he took steroids, but he was otherworldly after. He was great. He wasn't the best player ever, but he was great. He was he was unpitchable after he took the steroids. How am I going to put him in the Hall of Fame and hold him against the likes of guys who didn't choose? That's not fair. It's not fair.
Let's circle back around to Pete. How do you think his peers will feel if this
Weirdly
does
enough,
come to fruition? How do you think his?
I saw Johnny Bench, who's widely regarded as the greatest catcher of all time, who was on the Big Red Machine and had a up and down rocky relationship with Pete. I saw him speak at an FAU baseball luncheon a couple weeks ago rather. And one person asked Johnny from the crowd, "Hey, Pete Rose Hall of Fame. You think he should get in? You think they're going to change their mind on this now that he's passed?" The whole thing. And Johnny said one thing. He goes, "You have kids?" He said this to the guy asking the question. And the guy goes, "Yeah, I got kids." He goes, "Tell them don't break the rules. And then they'll get honored. Tell them don't break the rules." And everybody was kind of taken aback by the bluntness of that answer, but that was Johnny Bench's personality too. And he said, "Listen, I saw Pete his whole career. I saw the problems. I saw it ahead of time. I saw the booze. I saw the gambling. I saw it." And it was a little tough, but that was the standard that he was trying to set. Listen, if you want to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, don't break the rules. The same thing applies for steroids. It's the same principle. And now, the one thing about Pete is on the field, never broke the rules. Never broke the rules. And the rules that alluded to in the gambling and shaving points, whatever you want to call it, he never broke the rules in regard to the integrity of the game. Never did.
He was the best competitor. Everything that I've heard, he was the best competitor, and
that's it.
Everyone respected
That's
him.
why it's a different argument comparatively to something like the steroid argument. Because the steroid argument is you openly use something that is banned and it's labeled as cheating to increase your performance.
I understand. And my problem is one of the best eras of baseball was that era. You're completely knocking out an entire era of baseball. Yeah, I understood. But you're completely knocking out an entire era of baseball that was widely considered one of the best. And they're going to pick and choose who they want, and I kind of have a problem with that.
Here's the problem.
You know what I mean? They pick and choose steroid users.
Well, I mean, it's guys who are caught. It's hard to do that because you can't just assume everybody's using it, and you got to only do the guys that are caught. That's just the nature of the fact.
Well, Bonds technically wasn't caught.
Everybody knows that he
Bonds was caught.
He was.
If I get tongue in cheek because I'm a big Bonds guy, he was never caught.
In the cup in the bathroom, was never caught. But it was a known fact that he was hitting, that he was juicing up. That was a known fact. And there were guys
by who?
And there were guys who played in that era who didn't. So how is it fair to them to honor them playing the game the right way, quote unquote, versus that?
What was the WAR stat? And
they're making a standard set. And I agree with it. Because if it's banned now, it was banned then.
I'm surprised.
There was a problem then, and it's banned now. Why all of a sudden are we going to change our tune on it?
Clemens? You same way on Clemens?
That's the standard set.
God, he was unreal.
That's the standard set. And you know what? You're going to have to live with that. You juiced, you live with that.
Yeah.
You're not going to die. You had a great career. You were successful. You played in big games. You just can't be in the Hall of Fame. That's the bottom line.